Your dog has done something wrong. You see the torn pillow, the shredded shoe, your voice sharpens, and then it happens. The dog's head drops, the tail tucks, the eyes go impossibly wide. The anger you felt a moment ago softens into a sigh. You can't stay angry. That look melts everything. You tell yourself the animal is sorry. You believe those eyes are an apology, but the real reason your fury dissolves is far stranger than guilt. Your dog is not actually sorry in the way you think. A researcher named Alexandra Horowitz designed a clever experiment to test the guilty look. She asked dog owners to leave a treat on the floor and forbid their dog from eating it. Then the owner left the room. While they were gone, some dogs disobeyed and ate the treat. Others did not. When the owner returned, Horowitz sometimes told them the dog had misbehaved, even if it hadn't. The result upended a long-held belief. Dogs showed the supposedly guilty expression not when they had broken a rule, but when their owner scolded them. In fact, dogs who were innocent but were yelled at looked the guiltiest of all. What does that tell you? The expression you take for remorse is actually a response to your anger. It is a signal designed to pacify a threat. But why does that specific look, head low and eyes big, disarm you so reliably? To understand, you must trace it back to its ancestor, the gray wolf. Wolves live in hierarchical packs and use ritualized submissive gestures to prevent fights from escalating. A low body posture, averted gaze, tucked tail. These signals tell the dominant animal it is not a challenge. Your dog inherited that same canine body language. Yet something changed during domestication. A tiny anatomical shift gave dogs a superpower over you. A comparative anatomist named Julian Kaminsky revealed that dogs possess a muscle wolves simply do not have. It is called the levator anguli oculi medialis. In plain terms, it is a small facial muscle that raises the inner eyebrow. That is the muscle that creates the wide, infant-like pleading look. Wolves cannot do it. Even dogs' closest wild cousins lack this feature. Kaminsky's work suggests that humans unconsciously selected for dogs with more expressive, baby-like eyes over thousands of years. The look actively pulls on something deep in your brain. So what chemical cascade does that look trigger? And how did dogs evolve to exploit it so perfectly? And that pull is chemical. Psychologists have long known that humans are hardwired to respond to infantile features. The big eyes, the round face, the small nose. This is the Kindchenschma first described by Konrad Lorenz. So why does that baby face response fire off even for a predator? When you see these features, even in another species, your brain interprets them as a cue to give care and protection. Your endocrine system releases a flood of oxytocin. Oxytocin is often called the love hormone, though that is a bit simplistic. It is the molecule of trust, of bonding, of soothing. It lowers your cortisol levels. It quiets the amygdala, the part of your brain that processes fear and aggression. Essentially, your dog's face is a biochemical on switch for parental affection. A Japanese research team led by Miho Nagasawa proved this connection directly. They measured oxytocin levels in both dogs and owners before and after they interacted for about 30 minutes. Pairs who spent more time in mutual gaze, owners looking into dogs' eyes and dogs looking back, showed a significant spike in oxytocin. The dog's oxytocin went up. The human's oxytocin went up. It was a positive feedback loop. The more you gaze at your dog, the more bonded you both feel. The very act of exchanging looks with your pet mirrors the bonding that occurs between a mother and her infant. Your relationship with your dog has hijacked one of the most ancient biological pathways in the mammalian brain. So consider the scene you started with. Your dog misbehaved. You are angry. To the dog, your raised voice and tense body are threatening. In that moment, it needs to de-escalate the conflict and avoid punishment. It crouches, tucks its tail, and deploys that eyebrow muscle. The involuntary signal hits your visual cortex. Your brain reads the stimulus as vulnerable infant. Your oxytocin surges. The anger is literally washed away at the molecular level. You soften, maybe even comfort the animal. And in doing so, you reward the very behavior that triggers you. That is the hidden paradox. You think you are interpreting an emotion, but you are being managed by a social display. Does that mean your dog is lying to you? In a way, yes, though not with the conscious cunning of a human deceiver. It is a deep, inherited strategy. Through generations of domestication, dogs that could pacify humans had an edge. They were fed, sheltered, and bred more often. The ones who failed to produce that look when their humans were furious might have been cast out, or worse. So the trait became universal. Your dog is not a calculating sociopath. It is the product of a 15,000-year selection for signals that override your higher reasoning. But what about the dog's internal experience? Does it feel something akin to guilt? Most behavioral scientists are skeptical. Guilt requires a concept of wrongdoing, an internal moral code, and a theory of mind that lets the dog anticipate how its action would affect you. There is little evidence dogs possess that cognitive suite. Instead, the guilty look is a learned response to your cues. Past experience has taught the dog a simple association. When the human sounds and moves a certain way, making the eyes big and the body small makes the scary situation stop. There does not need to be an understanding of transgression, only a functional script. And the fascinating part is that science suggests this script goes both ways. While your dog diffuses your anger, your forgiveness chemistry also changes the dog. Nagasawa's team found that when owners gave oxytocin nasal spray to themselves before interacting, their dog's oxytocin levels rose too. You leak your internal state to your dog constantly. Your calmness literally calms your dog. Your aggression literally terrifies it. The two of you are a coupled biological system, two nodes in a chemical loop that has been tightening for millennia. So the guilt you see is not a confession, it is a negotiation, a silent, ancient pact between two species. You provide the food, the safety, the care. The dog provides the loyalty, the companionship, and when needed, the perfect face that turns your wrath into a warm sigh. You might think that knowing the trick would break the spell, but it does not. Even if you understand that you are being chemically manipulated, the oxytocin still binds to your receptors, the amygdala still quiets, the hand still reaches out to pet, because this is not a conscious decision. It is a reflex older than words. Consider the next time you feel that familiar irritation at a new mess, the torn leash in the hallway, the trash can knocked over. Before you even open your mouth to scold, your dog is already reading you. The animal has been watching your posture, your breathing, the tone of your footsteps. And the moment you catch its eye, the eyebrow muscle lifts, the neck retracts, a silent request for mercy coded in the language of the nursery. And it will work. It has always worked. The next time you see that look, consider what it represents. 15,000 years ago, a wolf-like creature approached the edge of a human camp. The bolder ones scavenged scraps. The calmer ones were tolerated. At some point, a proto-dog made a mistake that angered a human. Perhaps it stole meat. Perhaps it growled at a child. The ones who cowered and lifted their brows just so might have lived. The ones who did not disappeared. Generation after generation, that split-second interaction carved the canine face into the very shape that makes your heart soften today. Your living room is the latest arena for an ancient audition. And then there is the gaze itself. Other canids do not look into humans' eyes the way dogs do. Wolves raised by humans avoid eye contact. They interpret it as a threat. But dogs seek it out. They seek your eyes. And when they find them, they release oxytocin. You respond in kind. A neurobiological conversation unfolds in silence. This is the hidden engine of your bond. So why can you not stay angry at your dog? Because anger is an old, solitary survival reaction. But love, or the neurochemical scaffolding known as love, is a cooperative one. And your dog learned to co-opt it, to speak directly to the part of your brain that predates rationality. That is the real story behind the puppy dog eyes. It is not a sign of guilt. It is an evolutionary masterpiece that disarms your cortex with a single glance. The next time your voice sharpens and those eyes go wide, you will know what is happening. You are witnessing a living fossil of cooperation, a biological negotiation that has linked two species across the threshold from wild to domestic. And even knowing that, you will still forgive. You cannot help it, and in that helplessness lies the strange, beautiful truth. Your dog has never needed to say sorry. Your brain hears it anyway. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel. There's much more to discover.